Most coastal towns follow a simple rule. Land stays firm, water stays separate. Cities grow outward. Malindi doesn't. Here, the coastline shifts, forests press in, rivers rearrange space, and entire places exist between states. Not fully land, not fully water. To understand Malindi, you have to stop expecting permanence and start noticing how instability is built into the environment. This isn't chaos. It's a different kind of structure, one that operates on cycles instead of foundations, where the ocean never stays still. Along Kenya's north coast, the Indian Ocean behaves differently. This is Malindi Coast. Here's the first shock. The shoreline doesn't settle. Tides reach far inland. Sandbars shift constantly. The boundary between land and sea feels temporary. Movement here depends on timing, not distance. The ocean doesn't decorate the town. It rearranges it. Twice daily, the water advances and retreats. Not gently, not gradually, with enough force to redefine what counts as shore. Boats that floated in deep water hours ago now rest on exposed sand. Passages that existed in the morning disappear by afternoon. The navigation here isn't spatial, it's temporal. Local fishermen don't chart routes, they chart windows. Because the geography you see now won't be the geography you return to when the sea turns into a landscape. Just offshore lies something unexpected. This is Watu Marine National Park. Here's what feels wrong. At low tide, the sea becomes walkable. Reefs emerge, pools form, paths appear where water usually exists. The ocean doesn't feel like a barrier, it feels structured, but only temporarily. Hours later, it resets completely. The environment doesn't stay consistent long enough to trust. What appears solid beneath your feet will be submerged within hours. What looks navigable now will become impassable. The reef system creates natural corridors, then erases them. This isn't decorative coral. This is functional architecture, built by organisms over centuries, revealed and concealed by predictable cycles. The water here doesn't just cover rock. It activates an entire secondary landscape that operates on a different schedule than the land. Tidal pools trap entire ecosystems. Rock formations channel current. Natural walls redirect wave energy. The ocean here has texture, depth, internal geography, and it all vanishes twice a day. Then the land closes in, where forest interrupts the coast. Inland from Melindi lies a dense stretch of green. This is Arabuko Soo forest. Here's the shock. One of East Africa's densest forests sits almost at sea level. Heat increases, light disappears, movement slows instantly. There's no gradual transition. The coast ends, the forest begins. The land doesn't prepare you, it switches conditions. The temperature drops despite the proximity to open sun. The canopy thickens so completely that the sky becomes suggestion rather than presence. Sound changes. Ocean noise replaced by insect hum and bird calls layered in vertical space. This forest shouldn't exist here. Not this close to salt water. Not this dense at this elevation. Not this biodiverse in such a narrow coastal band. But it does. The forest houses species found nowhere else. Endemic birds, rare butterflies, mammals adapted to this specific intersection of heat, moisture, and vegetation. The ecosystem operates on different logic than the coast. Different timing, different vulnerabilities. Where the ocean resets daily, the forest accumulates slowly. Where the shore refuses permanence, the forest builds it. Layer by layer, year by year. The contrast isn't just visual, it's operational. If you're interested in destinations where geography still controls movement and places that operate between environments, subscribe. This channel explores places shaped by conditions, not convenience. Stakes reset. Why this matters. Because in Malindi, when conditions shift, there's no buffer period. The environment changes first. Everything else reacts. Human schedules adapt to tidal charts. Construction respects flood zones. Routes change with seasonal river flow. The land dictates terms, not the other way around, where a city was left behind. Hidden within the forest are remnants of an older system. This is Jade ruins. Here's the quiet shock. A large stone city once existed here and then disappeared. Not destroyed, not erased, simply abandoned. Vegetation reclaimed walls, roots cracked foundations. The forest absorbed the city completely. The land didn't accommodate expansion, it reclaimed space. Gede once thrived as a Swahili settlement, stone houses, mosques, a palace, evidence of trade connections spanning continents. Then, sometime in the 17th century, the residents left. No siege, no fire, no conquest recorded, just departure. Theories exist about water sources, trade route shifts, plague. But the certainty is this: the forest moved back in. Trees grew through courtyards. Vines wrapped columns. The canopy closed over streets. Now the ruins exist as negative space within vegetation. Walls define clearings. Doorways frame dense green. The city became substrate for the forest's expansion. The architecture remains, barely. But the forest owns the site now. What stands out isn't the collapse. It's the efficiency of reclamation. How quickly permanence reversed. When a river erases edges. North of Malindi, fresh water interrupts the coast again. This is the Sabaki River. Here's what feels unsettling. The river mouth constantly shifts. Sediment builds. Channels change. The coastline redraws itself. Land here isn't fixed. It's negotiated daily between river and sea. Maps struggle to keep up. The Sabaki carries sediment from Kenya's interior. Red-brown water heavy with soil. When it meets the ocean, the load drops. Sandbars form. Islands appear. The mouth migrates along the coast, searching for equilibrium it never finds. During heavy rains, the river cuts new channels. During dry periods, the ocean pushes back. The boundary moves. What was navigable last month might be blocked now. What was shallow yesterday might deepen overnight. The river doesn't fight the ocean. They negotiate constantly. The coastline is their shared document, continuously edited, where the town never fully solidifies. Malindi itself feels unusually open. This is Malindi town. Here's the contrast. The town spreads lightly. Structures stay low. Development feels restrained. After so much movement and change, the built environment doesn't dominate. Malindi doesn't impose permanence. It stays flexible. Buildings rarely exceed 3 stories. Concrete stays minimal. Gaps remain between structures. The town breathes. Streets accommodate both vehicles and tidal overflow during extreme high water. Construction accounts for seasonal flooding. Growth happens laterally, not vertically. Even the most permanent structures, hotels, government buildings, mosques, maintain visual lightness, open facades, covered walkways. Why Malindi feels unsettling. Most places depend on stability. Malindi doesn't. Ocean replaces ground. Forests interrupt coastlines. Cities vanish without collapse. Rivers redraw boundaries. Development avoids permanence. The environment never commits to one form. That uncertainty is what feels unfamiliar. We expect destinations to provide reliable geography, fixed landmarks, stable reference points. Malindi offers none of these. Instead, it provides rhythm, tidal cycles, seasonal patterns, long-term ecological drift. The place operates on multiple timescales simultaneously. Daily tidal resets, monthly lunar cycles affecting water levels, annual rainfall patterns shifting river behavior, decadal forest growth reclaiming clearings, century-scale coastal migration. Each timescale produces its own kind of change. None of them stop. What feels unsettling is the absence of a stable baseline. The ground state here is transformation. Malindi isn't defined by beaches or ruins. It's defined by in-between states. Land that shifts, water that organizes space, forests that reclaim cities, rivers that redraw maps, towns that refuse to solidify. These places weren't shaped to feel permanent. They exist because Malindi never forced stability. The coast works because it surrenders to tidal logic. The forest thrives because it reclaimed human space. The town functions because it built flexibility into its structure. The river mouth persists because it never stops moving. This isn't dysfunction. It's a different operational model. one where change isn't disruption, it's the baseline condition. If this video changed how you think about where destinations can function, subscribe, because some of the most revealing places to visit aren't built on certainty. They exist where the land never fully commits, and understanding them requires abandoning the expectation that geography should stay still.